All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of This Week in Charts via Carnival Trades and Wall Street from Main Street. If you've not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find Jason on Patreon and come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. So anyways, let's get into it this week. So we are seeing a huge rally here today. It is Friday, August 22nd, and Powell just finished his Jackson Hole speech. And last week we talked about markets starting to get a little tired here, looking for a pullback. We did start to get that in the early part of the week, and we started to pick up on some signals that we were getting a low. And in fact, if we take a look, I actually tweeted this out about market makers starting to price in some upside. We picked this up at 10:54 Tuesday, and you're going to notice here at Tuesday, we bottomed at the 1050 candle here, and we had a nice rally off of that. We hit some numbers, and we hit some targets in the short term that got us out of a quick short, which worked out pretty well, as that was the low. And now we have Powell turning out to be dovish. A lot of people are surprised about this. I talked about this extensively in my video yesterday. I am not surprised. The general thought was that he was going to be extra hawkish, and he was going to essentially, push back on rate cuts. But again, politics aside here, the Fed chair historically will always just do what the bond market says. And even prior to today, we had 73.5% odds of a rate cut. The 2-year yield is, again, well below Fed funds. So, this is not really, people are saying he caved. This is just the Fed chair doing what the Fed chair always does, which is what the bond market says. So to me, it was not a surprise. I talked about the possibility of a right tail event, and we have one right here, big time. S&P up 1.7. How about the Russell 2000? 4% gain here. You guys know I've been talking about this for the last month or so. Mega rally there for the Russell. Dow Jones, new all-time high. Up 2% today, and the Qs are lagging, only up 1.83. So here's the catch. Here's the kicker. Jackson Hole, this is a just wild stat to me. Over the last 20 years, has essentially marked a high within a week or so. And if you had, sold the market the day before the close before the day of Jackson Hole, and between the end of October, you got between a 3 and 18% dip. So sometimes these, this type of a move here can result in in some sort of topping process, right? What does the market really have left to rally on now that it has everything it wants? You could argue that, well, maybe there's one more thing next week with NVIDIA earnings. Certainly possible. A lot of people calling for 200. It's an 11% move for a $4 trillion company. Maybe a little ridiculous. This is a ridiculous stock, though. So I'm still looking for, once this move is done, I think we'll get some sort of a mean reversion here into the fall. But yeah, nonetheless, this is kind of how, markets, tend to do things. These topping processes are not easy. And, luckily, we were able to catch basically the exact low earlier this week, despite calling for more of a decline to start this week. But that is being able to pivot, and you got to be able to do that in this business if you want to be consistently profitable. And nonetheless, I still think 6,500 here on the S&P is pretty stiff. Can we wick through it a little bit? Can NVIDIA earnings maybe push us through it a little bit? It's possible, but from the things I'm seeing here in the options market, at least right now, it hasn't changed yet. If it changes, I'll let you know, but I don't see us getting much past that currently. So I know this is a good pump, and it obviously looks very strong, but again, the NASDAQ is nowhere near the all-time high compared to S&P. In a bull move, you want the NASDAQ leading. So that's something that I would be a little careful of here. The NASDAQ typically tops out every single market, every single time the NASDAQ tops first. And we're seeing that right now. Nonetheless, the IWM has really pumped higher. We've been calling for this, and I think this can go to 240 next week. And it's like halfway there now. Dow, new all-time highs. Very nice breakout there. SMH, that is higher here. Watching this broadening channel here too. Maybe it gets up there on NVIDIA earnings, if NVIDIA does really well. We have IGV up almost 2% today, but again, still well off the highs. So this is a laggard sector right now. And we've seen some of those laggard sectors, you know, consumer staples, Utes. We'll talk about XHP when we always do, but seeing some of those laggard sectors start to really catch up. Healthcare is another one. It's come up off the lows nicely. I've been talking about this sector. All right, transports, very nice bid today. Still backing off of 16.2 right now currently. It has come back. It still, you know, has lower highs potentially. So we'll see if this gets rejected here. That's not a good sign. But right now, you know, nice bid and up 3.5%. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt until it gives us a reason not to. On rates, you can see the 2-year yield backing off, 5s, 10s, 30s backing off, but the 30-year is not down a ton. So it's really not down a ton here. But we'll see how that shakes out next week. XHP, very nice move here, up 5.5. You know, this sniffed out rate cuts, we talked about that, and yeah, it probably does get back up to the high eventually here. Very nice move for home builders. IYR breaking out. So this got weak, you know, a week or two ago. It made that lower low, but you know, it held up. You know, it reclaimed that 96 handle, and yeah, it's starting to break out. So good move there for REITs. Real estate liking the news. XLF, new all-time high. So nice to see fins moving. KRE, look at this move, 4.77%. Little retest of the low. You know, flag move up, and making new local highs. So banks doing well, broker dealers holding up as well. Still no fresh high there, but nice pump. Oil here, kind of a quiet day, so nothing really going on here. You know, it's down 2 cents. 64 is resistance. I don't really like 60 as support right now because we've consolidated above it. It doesn't mean it can't hold, but it's going to be a little harder. XLE, on the other hand, very nice. Again, we talked about how it sold off. It tried to break this wedge, but did not follow through. And that was a sign of maybe a little bit of a bear trap, and that has come back nicely. You see Exxon having a good day here, trying to break out of this wedge. So even energy bidding here. XOP, same kind of look, right? That little falling wedge pattern. And OIH getting back above 250. I want to see a weekly close here, you know, above that 250 area. Dollar index coming down. A lot of people the dollar caught a little bit of a bid yesterday. It was trending up all day, and I said just be careful because it's probably just, you know, dollar shorts de-risking into Jackson Hole, and I think that's exactly what it was because they put it right back on. So dollar heading lower here, and DXY is in trouble. Gold not in trouble. So that is continuing to tighten. Now it's bidding up today, but it's not, you know, in any sort of it's not anywhere close to breaking this range just yet. But I mean, you do have, you know, kind of a tightening. You know, this is just a tightening pattern here. Right. So this looks fine. And it's got a lot of upward pressure here. So if I can get my right tools here and draw this in, there we go. So gold looking good. Meanwhile, silver close to breaking out. It had a little dip earlier this week, and I'd said in my daily video, said, yeah, it's an ugly sell, but you know, it didn't really do any damage on the weekly, and yeah, this can break out next week if it wants to. The silver strong here, knocking on the door of new highs. SIL making new highs, and the GDX making new highs here as well. We talked about this, right? The miners were leading, right? Gold broke out, you know, SIL broke out, but silver and gold on the futures had not. That was bullish. Platinum on the quieter side again, it does have a higher high here. the fact that it's not bidding more today on the Fed is a little, I mean, I wouldn't say concerning, but it definitely sticks out to me that it's just having trouble reclaiming these moving averages even. So this might be, this might take some more time to digest. Palladium getting a nice bid off of 1100. So that level's holding for now. But still got, room for lower highs here. And we got copper trying to curl up right now, trying to get a higher low. I think this is probably going to go sideways till the end of the contract, which is, I believe, next week or just afterwards. And then lastly, Bitcoin, nice rebound after the pullback, right into 12,000. Ethereum remains strong though, so alts are still better. Look at this pump here, holding the 20 moving average. And again, I talked about this. I think this is going to make new highs, and yeah, it's right there. So a little pullback and a nice bid. And this is one of the things too I noticed over the last day or two. Ethereum holding up and IWM holding up was a sign. I mean, so Ethereum essentially like more risk, more of a risk on, because it's not Bitcoin. And IWM is a more risk on index in terms of equities because they're small caps. These were holding up the last 2 days. In fact, they had the same chart pattern. And that was one of the things I talked about as to why I was looking for a possible right tail event here today in the equity markets. And we definitely got that right now with the markets ripping here on Jerome Powell. So anyways, guys, that's it. I'll wrap it up here for this week. Again, you guys take care. Don't forget to come find Jason on Patreon and me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll see you guys all next week.